Welcome to this video. I'm Kaiser Nike, and we're going to learn about Godot today. In the news, Unity has been flip-flopping about their pricing plans, and it was looking really bad for anyone on the Android market or the Apple Store. But a lot of Unity devs are thinking about switching to Godot, according to one poll I saw, so I was thinking, why not make a Godot tutorial for you? This is going to be 20 minutes long and hopefully cover the versions, how to make a platformer, the UI, and the asset library and how to upload an itch for anyone that doesn't know how. I'm going to combine this as though you're both experienced programmer and a newbie. So I'm going to try to cover a little bit of each, why you might want to switch to Godot. So first up, we have the Godot asset download archive. The two versions I'm going to be working with are, let's see if I can pull them up. This is the old one. This is 3.5. Let me reorganize this a moment. 3.52 and 4.41, which you can find under searching 4.411 and going down, 3.52. 3.53 might also work, and 4 newer versions of 4.4 and 4.2 might also work, but it's best to just use the versions I have. And since Godot has versions going all the way back to 1, if you ever need to check out any of the code I put on GitHub that I'll link in the description, you can find the exact version you need here and download it and start getting to work. This is very handy if you need to version control your project, and you want to keep your product locked to a single version to prevent issues with constant updates breaking your project, because I've had that problem with going from 3.5 to version 4. It's broken some things, changed a whole bunch of things, and it's a lot different. So you can get it all from the Godot site. Optionally, you can get it from the Godot Steam. I like to dabble in both. I like to get specific versions from this site and keep copies on my computer for projects that I consider that I might want to work on in the future. And then have a latest update version on Steam so that I can have some option of always being up to date and not needing to worry about that for projects that can handle changes in the system or two. You just have to be wary when they're about to do a big update. They'll usually announce it, and then you might want to lock it to the previous version before you do your big update. You don't want updating on you and then suddenly all your code's messed up, or it asks you to reformat everything and then the automatic reformat or break something. That's why it's always important to have GitHub or get any version control. I use GitHub Desktop personally because it's pretty handy. Let me give you a brief rundown of what GitHub Desktop does. You can make a new Git repository pretty easily. You set a name, you can skip description if you want. It's easier for yourself to keep one. Then you give it a path. You can give it a README if you want something to look at in the main page. Lastly, you want to go Git in order. This is important. Go to Godot. So for example, I'm going to make a tutorial project here. Tutorial. I'm going to push home. YouTube tutorial. You can name these anything, but see there's an error here. They prefer if you name it a specific way on a server. So they're going to add a little dash in between, a little line right there. For Unity devs and newbies alike. For YouTube. Let's make sure you got this all right. And it's important, if you're going to use my code, I have to license it for you. If you're going to make an open source project, I recommend using MIT, but you can also use GNU. That's an older one, but it's also pretty good. Apache's a little bit weirder, but you can read up about it and pick the right one for you. But I recommend MIT license if you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to initialize it with README and create it. And that's pretty much GitHub Desktop. You can find that on searching GitHub Desktop. The page looks like this. It'll give you a link to the right operating system you have. And I believe, do they support Linux? You might need Git Kraken for Linux. Unless you want to use Git from the command line. I know more people on Linux want to use the command line. Git is the natural habitat on the command line, but I can't use command line too much. I have to use a GUI or a GUI. This is probably way more powerful than you need, but this would really help you out. Just looking at this looks genius. Look at all these lines popping out and these colors. It's very clear what it's presenting. So that's my recommendations. This for Windows, this for if you need a more powerful solution. So let's get to the versions. I've already kind of overset my time. Let me double check my time here. I was supposed to take 5 minutes for the versions. I wanted to get you up to speed though. So let's get you... Alright, I'm going to start from the difference from 3.5 to 4. So here we have 3.5. Let's see if I can find the level data. Level.tsing. This may be kind of new to you. Everything's stored in nodes and scenes in this. And this is going to take forever to load because it's a whole bunch of objects. And my computer is 5 years old. Here we go. So the lighting baked in, you saw that. It was all dark before that. This is a Godot level. Let's see if I can pan. I think this is move. That moves objects. I'm going to right mouse click, rotates. Middle mouse click, also rotates. Let's try and move. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to move. I don't usually do good 3D development. You can see my experience here. Anyway, let's show you this level. You can see my settings. I think these are the defaults. I could make them higher, but I was getting some frame rate issues just on this. So I'm at 1920 by 1080. Bloom is high. Let's turn on low. I forget what that means, but SSAO. Shine mapping is on. These are the settings. Let's get to looking at what 3.5 has to offer. And I picked out some of the best demos for you to get a look at what more detailed scenes in 3D can be done with this engine. So we have your 3D player model here with animations. Here's just idle, it's looking around. Here's its walk animation, and it's omnidirectional movement. Well, not omnidirectional, but an X or Y movement. Or an XZ movement. I forget the directions too. It's pretty hard to do on the fly. Usually you have a script for this kind of stuff. Let's try to find an enemy. This is all running in GLES3, which is an open source graphics library. Let's shoot this guy. Destroyed. That's pretty cool. And of course they delete themselves as free space. I was looking when bodies stay around, but it's always graphically intensive. Let's avoid this guy. I mean, there's the core. Okay. That's 3.5. Now, before we move to 4.0 and compare what that has to offer, also let me... Thank you. Let's get a look at what the level is like. Get a look at the nodes. So it has the 3D node, which is, if I push plus, that's a spatial node. If I press plus under scene, this is add child node, control A. Here's every node in 3.5. On here, on the standard level, there's a bunch of nodes that don't have anything to do with spatial control or 2D objects. These are more standard use for things that are more abstract. These are animation tools: animation player, animation tree player, audio stream player for audio, and I believe there's an audio 2D, audio stream player 2D. That's under Node 2D because it inherits from 2D. We can go over more of this later. But let me show you the player here. You can click on any of these reels icons to get a look inside their scene. I really don't know how to pan. Like if it was 2D, you just use middle mouse button, but in 3D, I don't know how to do pan. You can see my experience with 3D. I just made 2D games for the most part. I made one 3D game and one 2.5D game, but that didn't get finished. That's the best view I can get. So you can see it's got its gun out. This is the default stance that they've set. And you can get to looking at that from animation tree. And you can see a state table here of all the animations. This is pretty good looking. And right now it's under iCycle. iCycle's running. What else is running? You think an idle or an attack idle will be running? It's like looking at someone else's code and you're trying to figure out how it works. I don't see too much of idling. Any mentions of that? Might be under player model. Oh, this is inherited from a 3D asset. I wonder if there's an asset here. Maybe under player. Player.tscn. Here only. Textures. That's textures. Anyway, I've shown you enough of this one. Oh, this sits in 19 hours. Let's fix this. About 12 minutes of bats already. So we'll say, actually let me get a look at it. Yeah, 14 minutes have passed. So eight minutes. Okay. Let's get a look at 4.0. This is running in Vulkan, and there's different rendering styles. There's mobile, compatibility, and forward. And you'll notice some differences between the versions, as in one's better for on PC versus one's better on the web and on other devices. Oh, I've already broken it. The collision runs the map very well. This is a bad start to this demo. Let's exit and restart. It's made by Perfume. Okay. As you can see, it's already kind of higher quality, but overall the gameplay is a bit weaker. It's mostly a visual demo. You got your god rays. The trees leave a little bit to be desired, but overall the natural environment is kind of pleasing to look at. You kind of want to wander through this area. It's not hugely graphically intensive, but I'm noticing that there's not too much beyond this. Outside this region, there are not many plants loading in. Like, look over there, there's no plants over there. Just flat ground. The ground cover is minimal. Anyway, let's look at the ship. Now let's get an FPS counter. So you can see, maybe 9 FPS. I'm running a Radeon 560, and things are not good on this end. This demo is a little bit overbearing for my computer. So I'd say if you want to target older hardware, you'd want to maybe use 3.5. You won't get the most out of the Vulkan system without a top-end computer. Unless you go for compatibility on mobile. Let's compare it. It's going to make the scene look a lot worse, but I don't see any graphics options here. He didn't program the graphics options, so I'm going to go ahead and make it cheaper to run by changing the renderer, which will break things. Hopefully it doesn't break the demo. We're going to switch it to mobile, which is the middle option. It's going to save and reload. That's natural. It needs to reload every time you make a change like that. It's kind of annoying, but hopefully it's starting again. Seems to have crashed it. Load errors. This project might be done for. Well, this isn't a sterling look of Godot, is it? But this is what you gotta deal with. Alright, let's see what I got. It has too many light maps and things that require Godot, the other system. I'm gonna run it anyway. You don't want it to crash that hard when you're trying to change the renderer. If you want to target multiple platforms of the same game, you should be able to change the renderer without the whole system breaking. It's not very responsive now, is it? This video is meant to be 20 minutes, but time flies. 40 minutes is my goal now. I keep an eye on the clock. If it gets to past 12, then it's way too late for me to be making a tutorial video. It's late night oil burns. Yeah. Just run it, will ya? Let's see how much FPS I get now. And you might notice it ain't looking as good anymore. Shadows are blockier. Trees look invisible. The touches aren't as effective anymore, but the FPS has gone into the 40s, the 30s, I mean. That's acceptable. 9's not acceptable, 30 is. Of course, this force is bringing it down to 20. You gotta think about rendering targets when you make a game. This doesn't help. They're running a whole video right here. This is a viewport running a video. This is graphically expensive to do this. It's interesting though. Blasternet, the little ad inside the game. Looks good too. For a little 2D game. I bet that was made in Godot. It'd be even more impressive if it was Godot running within another screen. And AI was controlling that character. You could do that with viewports. A harder way of doing it would be another good exe running at the same time that you pull the visuals from, but you can just run a scene and then put it into a viewport and then display it on a monitor somewhere or something. You can make cutscenes that way if you want to. Or if you want to, you could, like how they have in Half-Life, they have characters in rooms that's just their face. You could put a camera in that room and then put it on a screen. And that way you'd be able to see them. Anyway, I've ruined this. That's the versions for you. 4.0. I wouldn't recommend 4.0 right now. It's a tad bit more beautiful, but it comes a lot more slow down, and it's targeting the highest end of machines, and it targets even higher ends of the web and mobile devices. Godot 3.0 is more system agnostic. It'll support even Raspberry Pi. There's a version of it for Raspberry Pi, which is not a very powerful machine. I've always wanted to try making games for Raspberry Pi with Godot. I thought Pygame would be the limit of what that system could handle, but CDDA, yeah, Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead runs on Raspberry Pi. I tried that out. What was really hard was that was getting the sound running, because there's certain system files you have to edit to even get HDMI audio. Anyway, I broke this. Ignore what I did here. I wouldn't recommend switching renderers. You have to recode a whole bunch of stuff to target multiple renderers. That pretty much covers the different versions. We're going to stop playing these tools for now. Alright. 10-minute mark. Let's make a platformer. So, we have made a folder. Let's open it and explore it. Here you can see my other projects. So here's where you want to save your Godot project to. Now, should I show you in 3.5 where the files are ready, or should I show you in 4.0? I'm going to target for the web. That's the first answer. So I want to make it in 3.5. 4.0 means I have to make it, what was the word for it? It's some sort of scripting tool that makes it, not WebGL. I forget. I could look it up. Godot for web export. It requires, what does it require? Projects written in C# using Godot 4 cannot be exported to the web. So that's another reason to use Godot 3 for web exports. Cannot be run on macOS from iOS. Oh, shared array buffer, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Right now, there's security risks with shared array buffer, so sites kind of limit how it's used. HIO requires you to push an experimental option to get it turned on, and I've heard it breaks certain parts of your page if you turn it on. So you definitely want to make a 3.0 project targeting the web. Maybe even mobile, but mobile you can probably go for Godot 4. Anyway, let's make a new project. You start off on this screen. This will be empty when you start off. You might want to import an asset library project to get started, look around. Some demos you can try. You can type in demo and try something out. Let's see. I would recommend Dodge the Creeps. Here you got a brief description. This is where I start on Godot. That was enough information. Doing that tutorial was enough information to make me my first platformer. I think I followed one more tutorial, but by then I had already figured everything out, and I didn't really need that tutorial. I could make my own platform from there. So download that and work with it. And then follow the tutorial online within the Godot Docs, Dodge Creeps. Alright, now we're going to target OpenGL ES 2.0. This is best for web. GLS 3.0. That's how the shooter, third-person shooter is running in 3.5. It's pretty good looking, but if you're targeting for visual quality, you'd want to use 4.0 by now. And if you want, like, more... I wouldn't say 4.0 is more stable or even more usable. It's just more feature complete. That's why you might want to use it. Alright, let's go to my file. It's in E. It's under Projects, GitHub. And let's double check that folder name. I was storing it under YouTube tutorial. So I'm going to type in Y, YouTube tutorial. Select this folder. I'm going to call this UI plus platformer. That's a lengthy title. You don't want that to be on itch. No one's gonna look that up. It might be more search engine optimized. I don't know if shorter titles or longer titles are better at that, but this is what you're gonna see when you start up. Now, we want to make a platformer. So can you start from scratch, or do you need something to work off of? For me, I usually need something to work off of, because when I go into this screen and I see a blank, you can start a design document, yeah. Sometimes I start a design document and it never goes anywhere because I'm too busy designing it. I can never figure out how it becomes a game. Sometimes I have to just jump in and make code and experiment and see what happens. For this one though, we don't have time for that. This is a tutorial, so I'm going to open up a previous project and swipe from there, which is totally fine. Now, two options. I could go for a more mature project or slightly less mature project, but one with multiplayer. I think for this demo, I want to show you multiplayer. So I'm going to open up my example of that. Now I don't have a gamepad, which would have been smart to get, so I can't really show you multiplayer. But I can show you the screen and it looks like. It would be under main, multiplayer player. So let's run this. So we have two players, two screens. If I push WASD, this guy moves. And if I push arrow keys, he still moves. It's meant for a controller. And you'll see there's a viewport to the right that mirrors the world. Let's see from there. So let's try making something like this. Of course, I won't be able to test it because I don't have a controller on hand. So I'm going to have to change it so that I can use both sides of my keyboard. And then get a controller to test it later. So it's good to have these resources handy. Like, people respect you for adding controller support to your games. And it helps with porting it to other consoles. Anyway, let's get to work. Now, what's the minimal parts of making a platformer? We're at the 30-minute mark. Let's write them down. Levels, character, challenges, fun. Fun is optional, but you could say fun is optional. If you want people to enjoy your game, you want to make it fun, but there are games that are not about having fun at all, and they're still good games, because they can just rely on the challenge, or the good levels, or the good character. But a Mario game usually relies on its fun. I want to be the guy who usually relies on its challenge. Metroidvanias usually rely on levels. For character, maybe Hollow Knight relies more on the character. There's a lot of things the character can do in Hollow Knight. But the levels are, on that one, it's kind of all categories too. Alright, let's get to making it. Levels. Let's teach you how to make a level in Godot. That's how I'm going to play stream. Alright, so 3D is wrong, we're making a 2D game. So let's start with a 2D scene. And how I like to do this, everyone has their own way of making it. I like to do this. This is our source folder, SRC. This is how I've been taught. I don't usually use acronyms for every word. I just use that one, acronym for that one. And we're going to make some more folders. We're going to make assets. Now everything will go in source if it's part of what we're going to work with in the game, like resources, nodes, scripts. Assets are anything that's imported outside or made outside the editor to be brought in, like your 3D models, your pictures, sprite sheets, or music or fonts, sound effects. Anything of that is an asset. And I want to make some more basic folders. Make resources. Resources are for when you make a tile map and say you make a tile set as part of that tile map. Maybe the wrong order, but that'll go in there. I'll add a new folder, I'll add scenes. These are for scenes I'll switch to. I like to do, you can do actors. I usually do actors, but for this tutorial I'm going to do characters. And is that about it? Characters, resources, scenes. Scenes are kind of too generic word because everything's saved as a scene. Like once it's saved as, it'll be a scene. But I think I can understand the distinction of scenes are things that you switch to. So I'll say that there. For now, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm thinking of this up while I go. Anyway, we have a node 2D. We're going to call this game. For just to distinguish it, it's going to be game node. But if I call it game node, it can't be a node 2D. Because I'll show you later. It has to be a node. A regular node. Let's save this. Under source scenes. Let's make a new scene. That's basic scene. We're not going to work with that yet. We're going to add objects to it once we have everything ready. This one we're going to look up tile, and it gives you tile map. The search function is really handy, but you won't know what anything is for right now, so you have to find it manually. That's kind of the problem with this function. You have to know what you're looking for before you can find it. Another way of finding it is going under node 2D and just kind of glancing around until you see something you like. That looks useful. There's too many things here to really parse what the end of them are just by scrolling up and down. But the important ones are sprites. It's probably the most useful one. Then collision shape 2D. And then physics body 2D. Kinematic body. That's probably the top three. Kinematic body 2D, sprite, and collision shape 2D, the top three important ones. For this one, we're going to need a tile map. Okay. We're going to save this tile map. And for now, we're going to put it in scenes. Yeah. Let's add a new tile set. Now we need tiles. Let's source them from somewhere else. We could go online and find them, but I don't want to have to do that right now. I'm going to have to do that in a second for what I upload to GitHub. It's always important to credit people or people you got your assets from, but for now, before I upload it anywhere beyond GitHub, I can just take what I need and put it on there and then figure out the credits later, but that's not the preferred way of doing it. So I'm going to take some assets from here. Reusing assets is a good way to get things done. I'm going to copy this, go back to here, open assets, open file manager, paste. Now I have this here. If you need to copy this and you're following along and you haven't gone to the GitHub to copy the project yourself and then start copying from that project, you can go to my itch. Now I have to be careful because there might be porn on here. Because I've made an adult game and there might be porn on here. Anyway, Godot 2 is the tile set I offer you. This is based on Adam Saltzman. I'm going to copy that name real quick. And I'm going to add that to the README, which I'm using brackets for. Anything that edits Markdown for you, which is pretty much anything. I can do text. I'm going to do credits. This is very important for any project. Cavernous by cave of Calais to edited by kinds of making. Okay. That's all in. Now, let's make sure we have that in before we do our first commit. I'm going to go to assets, open this up. Now it needs some work done to it. It's just a bunch of tiles, and it doesn't know what to do with those. This is the tedious part of it. It's like data entry. You gotta clean up the data, make it presentable, make it work. Now, first step. Do you like the look of these tiles? Zoom all the way in. Does this look good? If you say no, do this. Go to Import, 2D Pixel. All better. If you say yes and it looks good, you can skip that part. Alright, we have the tile set. Delete saved. Let's ignore what it did there. I think because I didn't make any tiles with it, it put it away. I'm hoping. I don't want it to just start disappearing things while I'm working with it. Anyway, we're going to make one tile for now. We're going to make... We need to do some work on that. Alright, snap options. Now, there are certain ways of finding out what tile set is right for you. Right now it's 32 by 32. I can tell it's 8 by 8 because it fits in 32 by 32, but it's divided by 4. But you might have trouble figuring out what size it is. First step, look at where you got it from. Does it say what size it is? Second step, you gotta start plugging numbers in. First try multiples of 4, then try multiples of 5. That's kind of rare, but you'll usually have multiples of 4. Okay. That's our region. Before we do anything else, we're going to do the bit mask. Let's go and select the tile. And there's a whole bunch of stuff to look at here. I'm going to save it real quick. On the tile map, there's an auto tile bit mask. We're going to want 3 by 3 minimal. Could do 3 by 3. This is, see all these white spaces with nothing in it? That's how much you need for 3 by 3. 3 by 3 minimal will get us done pretty quick. Oh, let me show you 2 by 2. 2 by 2 is probably these other ones. Oh, the subtile size is gotta be 8 by 8. There we go. See, this is what it would look at like if we were doing 2 by 2. And I can show you that that works. Let's try placing a tile right now. No, the step we need to do, 64 by 64 is way too big. We want to do 8 by 8. Let's zoom all the way in. Actually, you gotta consider screen space. Let's avoid putting a camera in. Let's say we have a fixed camera, and we're gonna put low levels in around this area. So let's put something right in the middle of the screen. Boom, boom, boom. See the auto tiling working effect? I'm just clicking, holding down, dragging, and it's making a level for me. Now I have a platform. Of course, there's some goofy action happening with that bottom there, which you gotta be aware of. And see that? If you're fine with that, it's good. But that one looks bad. And that's hard to fix. That one looks okay. That one needs to be flipped. Let's see if I can flip it. Flipped. Looks fine now. Sometimes you gotta make do. Okay, that's our tile map. Before we go any further, your computer might die at any time. You can lose a hard drive. You can lose a computer. Your house might burn down. The cloud is here for you. I have to do my first one as project upload. Using counters by Saltzman to make platformer. Write some down about what this commit does so you don't have to stare at every part of it and open up that version to figure out what happened here. Set up, let's do set up grass tile 2 by 2. Oh, now we commit. Now let's publish it. And I'm going to make it public. It's already live. It is now live at 12 a.m. on 27th Central Time. Okay, we have a level. Now, before we start making the player, let's add the tile map. Open. Boom, it's in. And suddenly, we have a world. Next up, let's do a player. As I know, we're going to start with the kinematic body. It needs a sprite to start with, so we can see it. That's most important. Click load. And I'm not going to make this done for you. There's a whole bunch I can show you about making a character look good, act good. That's the hard work. Unfortunately, this tutorial won't cover that. I'm going to show you the basics. It needs a collision body. There's lots of collision shapes you can give it from all these types. Capsule shape, circle shape. For now, I think I want people to stand in your head. So I'm going to... Oh no, that's not going to work for me. We're going to have to go into here, change the extents. Alright. Will this work right? Let's try 32 by 32. That covers it. Then we're going to save this in characters. Oh, before we do that, I'm going to name this player. And I'm going to leave everything else as default names. Okay. So we have a player. Next step, a script. Now, if you're working on mono, this is the time you have to stop this tutorial and start following someone else's tutorial. And maybe come back once you're done with that. Because you're on a diverged path here, but if you want to learn GDScript, now's the time. We're going to leave everything as default and create. It's going to give you everything you need to know about it. Process, useful, but for physics body character like this one, we're going to give it physics process so it can act during collisions. So we're going to delete this for the time being. And a good rule of thumb, take a look at how we style things. A hashtag is a comment. Variables are declared by typing var, the name of the variable, which starts with a lowercase letter, and then would have, if this is a var, then I'll name it a var. The name is b var. You can save with Control S. I think there's another way to save. Let me double check. Yeah, you can do Control Alt S. Anyway, let's get started. Now, will I show you how to do this from memory? Let's find out. How far are we into this video? Yeah, this is going to be an hour-long tutorial. Let's edit it down to 20 minutes, which will seem like a dream. First, I'm going to declare two variables. I'm going to do velocity equals vector2 dot 0. And what that does, a vector2, it takes two floats, and that's its position or direction. That's how it can be applied. And doing .0 to me it's 0, 0. That's how it'll start out. And to be extra safe, we'll typecast it as vector2 so we can't change it later. Because this is Python-like, it could be recast. This will keep it as vector2. And to test it, let's see if this breaks it. Vel equals 3.5. This should break it. Yeah. Error. The assigned value of float doesn't match the variable type vector2. Won't even let you start it. That's good. That's how you would like it. Okay. So we have velocity and we're going to do speed, which will be a multiplier. And right now we're going to set it to 4 just to see how it acts. And just for fun, I'm going to make a float. If you're making a float, might as well typecast it as a float. Okay. So we got two variables. Let's make a function. The functions are defined as FUNC, and we'll do get direction. Pass. Now there's two ways to get movement done. You can always do func. Let's follow my own advice. Func underscore input. Pass to make sure it doesn't get angry at you. And then check for input events. Let me show you what our input events are. So go under project, which is the top left, project settings. Then it'll come to this huge menu of important things. We're going to go to input map right next to general on the top bar. These are all your inputs. For right now, all the D-pad looks good. We're going to use UI left, right, up, and down for movement. And that'll bind to the arrow keys. Since we want multiplayer in this tutorial, I'm going to do player 2 up. Copy that with home, shift, or shift home. Add that. Control V, down. Control V, right. Control V, left. And since these are arrow keys, we're going to add physical key. Wait, what's the difference? There's key and physical key. Physical key might be the exact key. We're going to use key. I think that picks that location on the keyboard, but I could be wrong. I don't know what it's like on other keyboards. I have to buy one and try it one day. And I'm doing it wrong. I always get this mixed up. So if you want to go left, you're going to want to be pressing A. If you want to go right, you're going to be pressing D. If you want to go up, you're going to press W. Oh, no. Really something. We're on a 2D world. My bad. We need a jump button. So let's see. W and A. Do I want W to be up? Yeah, let's do W as jump. Let's see. Player 2 jump. We're going to make that to be W. And then we'll do regular jump, which will be, I guess, control or shift. No, that doesn't make sense. Slash. Or 0. I'll put two hands over here. You gotta think about these things when you're playing two-handed keyboard. And the keyboard can only register up to like 8 inputs at a time, so you can't really have more than 2 people on a keyboard playing a game. As much as I'd like it. Anyway, it gets too awkward having too many hands on the keyboard. Anyway. We have our inputs. Now let's double check it again. We want left and right. That's all we're going to do. We're going to do left and right and jump. So we're going to use UI left, UI right, and jump. So we're going to do left, right, jump. How best to do that? So we have X variable and Y variable. Okay. Forget direction, we're going to do fill equals parentheses and make it larger. X value will be left is negative, so we're going to do right minus left. I think that's the same way in algebra, but I forget. I'm in algebra class right now. I'm trying to relearn my algebra from 10 years ago. Alright, so we're going to want input. This calls for input. You don't need this if you're going under the function input, but we're using the input singleton to get this out of here and put it to a different function. We're going to use get action strength, which should always be 1 or 0, but if it's a joystick, then you'll get variable strength, which might be preferable or not. We're going to get UI right minus input get action strength UI left. I don't know what raw input means, raw strength means, so I'm gonna. That's scary. My computer's bad. Excuse me for that. And we're gonna do. It's a fancy way of doing this. So input get action strength jump. Now something's wrong, so let's start poking around. This is the worst part of it. This works for me sometimes, but today has decided not to work for me. Expects that in variable. What is going on? That's right. Maybe expects this. No? That's not a good action strength. A value between 0 and 1 given the intensity of the given action. Okay. It's busted right now. Oh. This is silly. Factor 2. I think I got something wrong. This happens all the time. The wonders of doing a YouTube tutorial. So before I'd grade my tutorial as a C. Good for content. Tells you all everything you need to know. Not very engaging, but I'm getting there. You work at it a little bit each day. Okay. Now, let's get this working so we can see it in action. We're going to do velocity. Do velocity times equals speed. Now we're going to do velocity equals get direction times speed. Move and slide velocity. Now, we have our guy, we have a script. Let's see if it's good enough to work. I've done this so many times since it's such a simple thing to do, but pushing W to move him. I'm finding he's too big for our world. Let's go back and do some editing real quick. I'm going to go to here. Go to transform, scale, point 1. He's now a tiny little guy. Let's try playing it. Okay, we have a problem here. Nil and float operating times. Oh, more problems. You're learning with me. So we're going to change this. It has to always output a vector 2, no matter what. That's what that arrow into vector 2 is. So we're going to return this vector 2. Not set val equal to it anymore. Okay. That makes more sense. But there's no gravity. You can see it moves. This goes left. If I press 0, it goes down. It's not intended behavior, but now we know it needs to go negative instead of positive. That goes negative. Now we need gravity. Gravity is one of those things you kind of forget about once you're if not is on floor. So gravity will be applied as long as he's not on the floor and you're colliding with it. This is a way to prevent you from accidentally going to the floor or something's goofy, or sliding around for some reason. Strange things can happen if you always apply gravity. But it should just let you stay there. I just like to put this so you have a little bit more leeway when you're on the floor. And not input get action strength jump. Then we're going to do val.y minus equal speed. Now, we can probably put this to another variable, which I will do. Var gravity equal equal, let's say 12.0. Turn that to gravity. So we have different values for things. And let's turn the speed way up. I'm going to turn it to 40. Now we're floating out. That's bad. Seems to not be getting it too much. If it's plus equal and it's going down or up. Y goes up as you go up. So why is it going down if it's going down? I think minus equal meaning you'd be going down. Anyway, numbers being what there. Now I'm hitting the ground. Or not. A new wrinkle has appeared. How will we solve this? We have the character moving, sliding, that's important. Guess we haven't finished this yet. If this is scripted, I bet it'd be a better tutorial. But for now, we're going to hit up collision, make some shapes. Boom. Is there a quicker way of doing this? Shift R. Shift R. Boom. Shift R. Boom. Shift R. Boom. Shift R. Make sure you don't go in the middle of things. Shift R. Boom. Shift R. Boom. Shift R. And repeat that for every tile you ever have. Okay. Now let's see what I did. I added collision. Does this fix it? I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I hit the ground. Now, if I push left, I go left. Push right, I go right. And I realize something silly. Why should I go up if I push 0? Why not just make that up? And since I fixed this, okay, let's try running it. Cute. Now before we call it well, you can float forever. Let's call it a gameplay gimmick. Sometimes you have bugs you don't want to deal with. You should call them gameplay gimmicks. As long as you're holding up, you can go up forever.
Hello.
That's surprising. Okay. Let's make a multiplier. To do that, we're going to duplicate them. And since we have 2 of them now, we don't have problems because they're going to both be controlled by you. And since I know that to be true, I'll show you. They both do what you do. This shouldn't be good if you're trying to make a mirror world game, but I'm trying to make a 2-player game. So for this one, I'm going to make it simple. Export var player num. I'm going to set it equal to 1. If player num equal 1. There's probably some more ways to do this. If player number equal 2. But you'll probably only have up to 16 players anyway with the same system. Any more and you're going to need a colossal screen. Okay, let's look at the inputs that I need for player 2. So I need player 2 jump, player 2 left, player 2 right. So we're going to, actually before I do this, I'm going to do duplicate. I didn't do the duplicate right. I'm going to do duplicate. That was Control D. LF player num equals 2. Replace this with player 2 jump. You can fly now. But we also want him to move. So we're going to do if player num equal 1. And here's a prediction. This will not work. So let's fix it. Elif player num equal 2. Return. And the smart thing to do would be to duplicate before you do this, so you don't have to copy paste the right spot. But it does the same. Now we got this guy almost working. Let's make sure it works right. We're going to do player 2 right minus player 2 left. And it does some goofy stuff. I hate that. If only it was perfect. Player 2 jump. And it's almost a done game. But we need to do something else. Return vector2 dot 0. And I'm doing that because it always has to be a vector 2. And if it's another number, then it's not gonna return anything, and it's gonna crash the function. And it's smart enough to know basic things. So player 2 is now player number 2. And push the plus here. This is player number 1. Let's get some multiplayer running. Woo, 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 woo. Let's make them meet. But they don't want to meet. This one comes closer and the other one goes further away. But eventually, they meet up. They fly away. Thank you for watching this with me. Is this tutorial over now? It's been an hour. Oh, but there's more to learn. We've only covered. Let's see what we've covered. We've got a semblance of a level. We have an accessible character. We have no challenge. I'm gonna leave that up to you. Good luck. Next slide. Before we go, look at all this work we did. Let's upload it. Platform basics done. And push. A lot of pushing push. Means all my problems right now are solved. Okay, that's not the right thing. Aha, back up here. So I did the versions. I'll show you how to make, well, it's not really the basics of a platform. It's like the basics of starting a platform or a project. Let's get into UI. We don't have to make anything new. Let's see, what do we want to make? Let's make health bars. So we're going to add a new scene, user interface. We're going to do, how do I want to do this? How about, let's just look in the control settings and see what things we can find. No, canvas item. Let's look around. Let's look for containers. What can we find to make a cool UI? Graph node would be funny. Margin container. Panel container. Scroll container. Tab container. Tab container is too much. I don't want to click on it. Let's give health bars. How do I want to contain them? Let's do an hsplit container. Okay. So we have an hsplit container. It will go top, bottom, wide, and I clicked on layout there. Layout lets you control what things do for you. as long as they're UI node. Pretty sure every UI node has a layout option, given it's not under a control panel that's controlling its layout. So that's at the bottom. We're going to add a child. And I forget what it's called, so we're going to look it up. Control, maybe range, progress bar. Maybe that'll do something. And then let's duplicate it. Now I got two. But I have a problem. They're not equal size. So let's make one expand. Size flags. Two expand. Now they share the same space. Handy. But how does the guy know which one's which? That's a problem. Let's remake this. We need more stuff in here. We need an H box. This is my favorite tool of Godot. Now let's add a label. P1. I'll go in front of this one. It's fun stuff you can do with the UI nodes, but I'm showing you just how to set it up. P2. Let's get this. Set the value to 100. Full health. Set that to 100. Full health. And let's save this. Let me rename it. Game mode UI, just in case we make other UIs. I want to save this under a new folder. UI. Save. Okay. Before we go, let's see if we can. That's not what I want. Let's see if I can do anything cool. Let's add a theme. New theme. Here's all the fun stuff you can do to it. Let's look at progress bar. See what we can do with it. Add type. Colors. Let's try adding a background color and see, or a foreground color. Let's try adding a foreground color and see what that does. Let's do texture, we're going to do flat. Okay. Let's do a color of green. No, that makes it pretty hard to see. Make it dark green. Okay. And just to be certain it's good, I'm going to put it all the way to the left. Put it at 90. Put this at 10. Yeah, it looks good. Let's save it real quick. Add a new theme. Do the same thing. Add a new type. Progress bar. Go to the colors. Foreground color. I'm going to make this a flat one. And this is going to be purple. Sorry, purple. Looks good. And last step, this looks a bit goofy, so I'm going to make it bottom white again. Now everything's fine. Ba bang, ba boom. Put it in. Bam. That's always covered up now. Now, there's some colors here, but we don't know who's who. You're going to get lost. So, make some changes. Ideally, you have this set up in code. Makes it a lot more complicated, but I'm not showing you that. I'm showing you how to do this simple. Now I'm having some trouble here, so I'm going to do edible children, progress bar, go to theme, click on this, copy that. That was player 2. Player 2 now gets visibility change, modulate, plug that in, and check on him. Looks like he's a different color now. Wondrous. Go back to the UI nodes, theme, Starbucks flat, copy that. Player 1, or not that color. Handy dandy. Also, let's check one more thing. Let's try doing the terrible thing to us. Whoop, 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 whoop. Isn't that nice? UI just works. If you want to really zoom in, you get it right nice tight in there. Uh-oh, I know it's a problem. Too dark. These guys don't really stand out. I need to fix that somehow. I wanted to fix camera, but we don't need a camera now. Camera 2D. I'm going to do fix top left. Let's do zoom of 5, 5. Where to go? Do current. That's 5 is out. We want 0.2. Okay. And now let's move it with W. Let's get them in the scene. Push play. Let's see what it looks like. That's a bit of a troublesome error. Oh, if I do this, what will it do? Nope. Did it really do that? I'm learning just like you guys. I'm noticing my UI not showing up at the bottom anymore with this camera. Hold right to try that. No. Can I figure this out on my own? Let's try drag center and see if that changes anything. Nope. How do I get that connected to that? Time to do a handy dandy Google. this could be the answer on Reddit. The docs are usually handy. Let's look at the docs first. Let's see handy stuff in here. That's pretty nicely designed. Much nicer than what I did. Oh, rupees. That's a lot to read. Let's read about Reddit. Maybe I've solved it. Let's see, go to the UI. No camera. I don't really get what he's saying by camera display option should be 0, and follow your board to off. Follow viewport turned off. Okay, let's look at that. Visibility. I've come into a great issue. I don't want smoothing. People get a problem with that. Let's look at GUI. It's worse than all my other projects. I'm running some basic problems. Look at all this useful stuff. Okay. Look up again. Godot engine is pretty good. Oh, basic stuff. Okay. Now that should do it. Let's put the layer. There one visible check. Okay. Hooray! Now this tutorial needs a little bit of challenge. How should I make a better challenge for this game? I mean, you found the basics. You follow along. Maybe you have something that looks like this, or maybe something that looks better. Maybe you've made a character by now. How can I make this more interesting? It's good to get to this point, though. I have scroll bars at the bottom. How about a closeness ratio? Is that a script to game node? We're going to put this under physics process. And we're going to add a position 2D on here. Yeah, I'll just believe in the process right now. It's right in the middle. Now we need some distance going up. From other equal player position minus player 2 position. I'll say the next feature it's the next feature is within 16. How to make this work? I need some formulas in here. Let's write it down. Take in distance. Take in distance from center. If too far from center, die. If player basis would be 16. For this origin basis equals 100. I'll do 102. 100. I'll do 100. Multiplies by 4 as well. Too far from center and other die. This game is a game about working together, just singing up from being happy buddies. For play one disk equal player position minus position 2D position. For play to this equal player to position minus position to position. And I'll print all these out. This other plus this str for string, this from other plus 1 plus str play 1 disk plus 2 colon plus string play 2 disk and let's try doing something. If this from other if this from other greater than this or no this player basis times 2 progress bar value equals let's try this from another modulus 100. Try running that. Factor 2 int operator greater than How do we turn vector 2 into an int? Do we have to do a formula? This for mother is 44.9. How do you get what is this called again? Absolute value. So tutorials become me developing while live. ABS. Some formulas are happening. This will slow down a whole bunch. It's happening every frame. It won't be in the thousands of frames per second. Okay. Float and int. Modulus takes ints. Let's cast it to an int. It's opposite. This is a stay away game now. It's kind of random, but I like it. Okay. Source bar 2 dot value equal int play 2 just odd 100. I think I have the game now. What a weird game. Maximize your potential. Well, there's no win state or lose state. It's an open-ended game. It's a mysterious genre, in fact. Hopefully you learned something. What did we learn? How to make a player. How to make a tile map. Let's add some a little bit more sprinkles into this tile map. Can't really see it. Well, I'm tired. It's 1 a.m. I have school tomorrow. We're going to call here. hopefully it was insightful. It's a 2-hour long tutorial. A lot of editing down. Goodbye.